Hello, I'm Dave Henning with Fresh Start Podcast, fresh ideas for business and personal growth. And today I'm very excited to have my guest with me, Jermane Cheathem, all the way from Malaysia. Welcome, Jermane. Good to have you here.
Hey, thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
So you have quite a background story. I love stories because it really takes a deep dive into where we all come from and the challenges that we faced. And your story, if you don't mind sharing, is you went from a broken home to a seven-figure finance entrepreneur and to travel the world and use simplicity to get what we all want, right? Freedom. So tell me about that.
Kind of my backstory is I was always scared. And ever since I was a little kid, man, I've always been kind of scared of the world. I kind of came from, like I said, a broken home, a single mother trying to raise me, working several jobs, trying to figure it out. And I never really quite knew who I was. My father's black, my mother's white. And growing up in kind of America, everyone's trying to figure out who they are. Identity is a huge portion of American culture, actually human culture in general. And so it was always kind of this unknown about where's my place in the world. So I was always fearful of stuff. And at a young age, I realized the most important thing for me to do is not run from my fear, but actually follow my fear. And I think the most important thing moving forward for me, for you, for anybody, is that uncomfortable feeling of fear, always kind of move towards that, not away from it, because that's where the real gold's at. And so that's what I always did, whether it was, playing football or talking to a girl or starting a business or making a cold call or whatever it is. I felt like I was never a good communicator. So I was like, I can't go into sales. But that was the negative narrative I kept to myself. So I said, let me challenge this and see if this is real. So, next thing I know, I'm making 300 cold calls a day. And I realized, that was all bullshit. This actually works. And so, I started making a lot of money. I started having a lot more freedom. And it's just every day I find ways to challenge whatever fear is in front of me and just to do it anyways, because that's really where the beauty is. And now I travel the world and make a boatload of money, and I'm just always looking for that next fearful thing I can do where I can just defy it and say, that was all BS.
That is outstanding. I've been to so many seminars and trainings with some of the big name speakers around the country, and somebody said, do what you fear the most, and the death of fear is certain. So I kind of came back to me as you were sharing that, because as long as I've been doing this kind of thing, that always that almost like a stage fright kind of a fear kind of creeps in, sneaks in and gives you the doubts. I don't know if you are old enough to remember the old cartoon where the angel was on this ear and the devil was on this ear talking into your head, like giving you mixed signals about, who you are. And like you say, your identity. So obviously you came through that, and here you are. You're doing, first of all, let me read your statement. I love this because it mirrors a lot of what I'm all about. My philosophy on life and business: if I can't make it simple, easy, and fun, that's my part, the fun part, then I'm not doing it. I'm a minimalist entrepreneur who has mastered the skill and art of maximizing opportunities. So I like simple. When I was in high school, I don't think they actually knew what ADD was. But my attention span was not. I was a typical bored high school kid, and doing all kinds of interesting things. So, having said that, tell me, let's dive into some of the things that you've done in the past. You said you did something like 350 cold calls a day. That reminds me of the famous insurance salesman from Chicago, who was the business partner to the Think and Grow Rich author. And he started out with like $150 in his pocket, but made all these cold calls. I think while he was still living with his mother at home, and going up and down high-rise buildings and making contacts. So how did that work out for you, all that experience?
Well, it wasn't fun at first. It was tough at first, but my narrative was that people were not going to like me, accept me, send me their business. I wasn't fit for this market, financing. And I felt all this anxious, like we were talking about, all this anxiety around these negative beliefs. But once you get thrown in a fire like that, where you're making all these cold calls and getting no 95% of the time, you realize, oh, that was this kind of fear. This is just information. This isn't like a personal attack on me. This is simply information. They said no, so you move on. And once I started getting people to say yes, and I realized, oh, this actually works, and I started, getting deals in and getting fundings and, making money, you kind of come to this epiphany, like that was all BS. That was all a lie that I was telling myself. It has nothing to do with other people. It has everything to do with me and my own mindset. And so I was always trying to find leverage points. So like, why do I need to make these 300 cold calls? And this kind of comes in where the simplicity and the minimalism comes into place, where I was finding where I could be using leverage to make my life easier. So I found different ways I could do this, whether it's like, instead of making 300 calls, maybe I'll only make 50 calls, but they're very strategic calls. And I'm looking to leverage other people's networks. So that's what I started doing. And so every day I find different leverage points in my life to make it simple, easy, and funner. And so I can really do it now. Like, for example, the simple, easy, fun methodology. What I would mean by that is, like, right now, if I wanted to work out, but I didn't feel like it, I think to myself, how could I make this simple, easy, and fun? And I'd actually visualize it in my mind. Like, what would it look like? What would it feel like? And maybe it's just, I could just drop down right here and do a push-up. It's simple. It's not complex. It's easy because I can do it right now. I don't have to like prepare for it or read a book about it. And it's fun. Maybe I'll put in my headphones and listen to some music. So I can engineer my environment to make it so it's enjoyable, because, we're not going to be here forever. Let's enjoy ourselves. Enjoy the company we're around. Life's too beautiful to look at it any other way.
Fantastic. Well said. Simple, easy, fun. I'm going to write that on the flyleaf of my noggin, as some old guy used to say. You remind me, though, and I've been in sales. In fact, actually, I was loving being apparently I found out later I was actually slightly famous disc jockey for a brief period of time, but I was having so much fun. But then when I went in to ask the boss for a raise, he says, well, it's not in the budget, but if you'll go in that room, I'll give you a desk and you go out and sell advertising, and you can give yourself a raise as much as you want. So I had a tremendous fear of rejection, which I think what I hear you saying about making all these calls, 300 calls, and then getting strategic about it and leveraging it down to maybe around 50 calls and making that work for you. So there's a book back there on my shelf somewhere. I think it's called Rhino Success. It's basically about having a thick skin like a rhinoceros so that you can handle rejection. As you said, it's really not personal, is it? It's really, they're not rejecting you as a person necessarily, but they're, maybe not ready or to receive your offer. Am I hearing you correctly?
Exactly. It's just information. If you say, no, I don't want you as a podcast guest, okay, that's just information. It has nothing to do with me. It's just maybe the timing wasn't right. Maybe you're having a bad day. I always ask myself, what else could this mean? And what's the positive connotation that may come out of this versus like, oh, he doesn't like me because of X, Y, and Z. 99% of the time, that's all BS. It's in your own mind. I can't tell you how many times I've made assumptions about people, and you always have egg on your face because it's like, oh, I was completely wrong about that. So it's always kind of best to kind of think about it from the best possible angle.
So yes, I don't know, another statistic. I think somebody's once said that 99% of the things that you worry about actually never happen. So,
it's true.
Well, that is pretty cool. You've been able to travel. You've been able to build this network, build this business. Tell me a little bit more about this business. I actually took a sneak peek at your website here. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So what we do is we partner with people that sell equipment to businesses. And it could be anything. It could be, medical devices. It could be restaurant equipment. It could be office furniture. I mean, anything for a business. It could be software, whatever. So we partner with the people that sell that, and we come to them and say, hey, Todd, we do financing for this type of equipment. Would it help if you could offer financing to your customers. Instead of them paying 40 grand for it, they could just pay $500 a month. They could take the tax deduction. Just makes it easy and makes you sell more. And most people say, yeah, it sounds great. Or no, I already work with somebody else, but send me your info. It's just a normal sales process. You kind of got to be patient. So that's exactly what we do is we just partner with equipment sellers, offer them our financing so they can offer it to their clients. And you can do this from anywhere in the world as long as you have a laptop and a cell phone.
Excellent. Excellent. And who's the guy that owns the McDonald's franchises? What's his name? Oh, come on. Oh, I see. I'm making excuses now because I can't remember it. Well, his story is he was selling milkshake machines, and to the McDonald's brother down the road here in California, and he saw Ray Kroc, yeah, and he had the vision of franchising this whole thing, which the rest is history. But speaking of selling equipment, my brother in Ohio for many years had hydraulics engineering company, a machine shop. So all of his equipment was, pricey, let's just say. So I'm sure that what you are doing still is very valuable because it's what would you call that? Like an add-on service so that they could basically sell more of their equipment. Am I hearing it correctly?
Exactly. I guess it's almost as it's the same kind of analogy as when you go buy a new iPhone. Apple's going to say, hey, why don't you just do this financing? You get a new iPhone every year or two, and it'll be whatever, $22 a month. It just makes it way easier for more people to get on board. And the beautiful thing about on the business side is it's tax deductible. So you're going to pay Uncle Sam or you're going to reinvest your money into your company, take the tax deduction because you're doing it as a finance agreement. And it's just kind of a win-win for everybody.
Wow, that's very interesting. So it sounds like, is your market then for your services, is it worldwide or United States specifically, or?
Just the U.S. and Canada. Okay,
excellent. Very cool. And then how long have you been doing this free live masterclass? What's that like? That's interesting.
Yeah, so I've been in this industry for about 18 plus years, and now that I'm traveling quite a bit, pretty much all year around, I started to think more and more about, how I've kind of come to this place of, abundance and free time and just autonomy. And it's such a niche industry that nobody really knows about for the most part. People just think people go to their banks to get loans for their business. But there's this secret kind of niche industry that I'm in, where I'm kind of the person facilitating some of these smaller loans where banks really aren't interested in chasing down a $20, $30, $40, $100,000 deal. They want a $100 million deal. This is the way nature of banks are. It's economies at scale for them. So I started thinking, how can I get more people involved to get to enjoy this type of lifestyle? So the masterclass is kind of to introduce what we do, to explain kind of exactly what the industry is, what I do, and offer training and a course so they can actually implement my blueprint and do it on their own. And, if they want to stay in the States and work there from home, great. Do whatever you want, but you could travel. You could be in Austin one week. You could be in California another week. You could be in Chicago, whatever. It's up to you. So that's what the masterclass is about, is teaching people what I've learned over the 18 years and giving them a course and a blueprint to follow.
Wow, that is extremely interesting. And that website is what? I had it here somewhere. I can't read my own writing.
Yeah, so it's it's creatorslearn.com. And the platform is, for people that consider themselves creators. My whole philosophy on life, one of my other philosophies, I have a bunch of philosophies, but, I don't believe in like black and white and male and female, Democrat, Republican. I don't see any of that. I only see two types of people, and they're creators and there's victims, and that's it. That's all I see. So you got to decide what side of the fence you want to be on. And I'm a creator, and this is for people that consider themselves creators. And this is a platform for them to learn about business opportunities, mindset, all types of stuff. And this is just the first course I'm putting out there on the business opportunity.
Oh, that is outstanding. I am a lifelong student, so you'll probably see me signing up for your blueprint because, I just find there's so much to learn, so much out there. And very excited how you put it all into perspective of creators and victims. Yeah, exactly. And you would have to agree, it's a choice. I'm speaking with Jermane Cheathem right now. He's in Malaysia. He's talking with me right here in the Silicon Valley in California, and I'm so appreciative of you being with me today. So, Jermane, what else can you tell me about 18 years just in this industry, right? And then what else about your journey? Tell me this. I'd like to ask this question. I asked this to the gentleman who started the podcast and matchmaker software, James. What was your very first job?
Okay, so my very first job, let's think about that. It was at my neighbor's. I had I think she was Austrian, an old Austrian neighbor. It was kind of random, her in our neighborhood, but she was probably 80 years old, and I was maybe, I don't even know, 10. And I wanted money. I wanted to buy bubble gum, and I wanted to buy cards, basketball cards, baseball cards. That was my thing. And so my mom was like, well, you better figure out how to make some money. So I went over to her, and I always see her out there working on her garden. So I just went and said, hey, can I help out in the garden and get paid? So I would go over there, and she said, okay, I'll pay you $5. I think she said she paid me $5, like either an hour or every 2 hours. It wasn't the best return on my time, but who cares? You're 10. So I'd be over there slaving for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 hours. And, your hands would have calluses, but, I'd get my $20. She'd write me a check, and I would go down to the baseball card shop and get my cards and get my bubble gum, and I was happy. So that was my first job. And that's like one of those things that it's important for parents to do, is like, make sure, go find a way to make money. You want something, go find a way to make it happen. So that was my first job.
That is very cool. I'm surprised looking back that my high school friend, his parents were school teachers, and most school teachers worked in the summertime doing something else. So they opened up a swimming pool store next to their house down the road, and I got a job selling in-ground swimming pools and it's about 16 years old. And and all the supplies and the tubes and the air mattresses and the chemical products for keeping the pool clean, all that stuff. So anyway, I won't tell you the rest of the story. It was one of the many jobs I got fired from.
It happens.
So onward, right? Next.
Yeah, exactly. Next week. Oh,
yeah. But that is awesome. That we got to start somewhere. And as you know, unfortunately, I don't know. Maybe they do now. I'm an old fart now, but at least when I was going to school, and it's a lot of years since then, they didn't actually teach you how to balance a checkbook or how to have a savings account. None of those kinds of things that are valuable, don't you think?
Yeah, I still don't think they teach any of that. It's crazy. I could be a conspiracy theorist, but I think there's a part of it. I do think there's a part of it that they want to keep the public somewhat blind to financial matters, because it keeps people consuming, it keeps the economy running. Because if you're too fiscally responsible and you don't learn it on your own, it doesn't make any sense why they wouldn't teach something basic like personal finance, just balancing a checkbook, income statements, like what's coming in, what's coming out. It's basic stuff. You don't hear any of that until college. It's more corporate finance, not individual finance. So that should definitely be a prerequisite in high school, at least. So, it's kind of silly, but who knows what the real reason is behind that.
Right. Yeah. And leadership. I appreciate you being on my show today and sharing really your leadership experience. And I'll try not to talk too much so that you can get a word in edgewise here.
Well, I don't know. My concept on leadership is maybe a little bit different. I don't really believe in leadership. It kind of comes back to the whole thing we talked about earlier, is when you follow your fear, you're automatically a leader. There's nothing to teach. There's nothing to learn. It's about you just kind of following your fear, and other people are going to see you do this, and they're going to be a witness to it, and they're going to be like, if he can do it or she can do it, then I can do it. And maybe I should start doing things that make me uncomfortable. So it's not like something you learn in a textbook. It's something you learn in real life by action. That kind of goes back to my simple, easy, and fun philosophy. Like, to me, leadership is so simple and so easy. It's hard, but it's easy. You can do it right now. Just do things that you're scared of and you'll become a leader, but never set out to be a leader in my mind. It just happens to you. It's a byproduct.
Yeah, yeah, well said. And I think actually we're actually on the same page when it comes to what you're saying, because that's kind of been a story with a lot of people that I've read about, or a lot of people that I've interviewed, is that's exactly where it came from. Yeah, I appreciate you saying it in the way that you said it, because that's where a lot of people got started. I didn't realize until recently that Henry Ford actually was an employee of Thomas Edison for a number of years, until he got out of his own way and decided to build a car. How long did it take to develop your Masterclass course, and if you could describe a little bit more about that, because I would like to really send people your way who are serious and interested, serious and having some serious fun, and getting some results from where they are at. What does that course really kind of unfold and look like, Jermane, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, so it really goes by step of my blueprint of how I put together my entire business, and it's 12 modules, I believe, where you go through. It kind of starts off with your vision, because the most important thing to me is like, where do you want to go? A lot of people always talk about where they don't want to go, what they don't want to have. The most important thing is like, where do you want to go, and create that vision, what it feels like, what it looks like in your mind's eye. And so we go through a module where you kind of develop that. And then once you have that vision, you got to kind of figure out, why do you want that vision? Some people want visions that aren't even theirs. So make sure you're crystal clear, and we dive really, really deep into why you want to have that vision, and we get to this core. So that's another module. So it's a progression of mindset, vision, and then the nuts and bolts of the what and the how we do it is this. That's really the simple part, because it's just you follow the blueprint, you follow the scripts, you understand the cadences, you're given all the tools, and you don't need to know anything about financing. I mean, I've been doing this for 18 years. I still use my calculator because I'm not a finance. I'm really not a finance guy. I'm not a sales guy either. I'm just a person that likes freedom and likes to create my own reality. And so as long as you can talk to someone, if you can talk to your waiter at Cheesecake Factory or at Morton's when you're ordering your steak, and you can have a conversation with him and give him a tip at the end of the meal, then you can do this. It's not rocket science. So so we go through all of the modules and give people examples, and they have worksheets to work through. It probably would take, it's up to you how long it would take you to do the actual course, because it's on your own pace. Some people could do it probably in a weekend. Other people would take weeks to months. It's really up to you. But it's kind of it's a mindset, and then it's action steps. And it delves into minimalism, like we talked about, because you really want to leverage, you want to use leverage points in life, not only for your business, who you're working with, what you're doing with your time, because you want to have, the whole point of life in business is to make money so you have freedom of your day and autonomy of your day. Money is just the byproduct of you creating your life the way you want to create it. So I had to come to the epiphany of when I started traveling all around the world, I can't take all this stuff with me. It's not feasible. So I had to figure out how to pare it down and become a minimalist. And I realized I don't love stuff. I like stuff, but I don't love it. I love experiences. So you have to know, that was for me, that was one of my visions. And one of the things I had to realize what I really love is I love experiences, not things. So why would I have 5 watches or 10 pairs of shoes? Maybe you just get one beautiful Rolex and one beautiful pair of Louis Vuittons. And those are the only shoes and only watch you have. It's something you get to figure out. Do I love this thing? And if that's the truth, then you stick with it. But you don't segment your love through 15 different things, because it's not possible. It's kind of like one of my thoughts is like it's on stocks. I don't believe in diversification, because if I really love a stock and I understand the company through and through, I love the leadership and I love the products, why would I want to diversify to all these other stocks that are number 2, 3, 4, 5, 15, 20? I should just put that money all into number 1. And obviously, as long as you do your due diligence, you're making a wise decision. But then you diversification, then you're not enjoying the journey with this one company or this one watch or this one person or whatever it is. So that's kind of the flow of the underlying theme of the course. And we just show you how to use the course in the business to use leverage so you can grow your time, your money, your wealth, your freedom. Because who wants to be in a 9-to-5 or stuck in a country they don't want to be stuck in, or in a relationship they want to be in, or a business or a boss or whatever. So it delves into kind of all that. And this is just the blueprint of how to get to the wealth side.
Well said. Yeah, excellent. Let me ask you this about that. If someone is already in another field, or just say direct marketing, for example, can they use these principles from your class to serve them in whatever else they're doing, or is it just specific to the finance industry that you're talking about?
They can use these principles for anything. I mean, they literally will take what they learn and apply this to anything, because it's just the principles of using simplification, leverage, and getting your mindset right. The rest of it, the what and the how are like minuscule compared to the mindset and understanding using leverage on simple minimalistic ideas.
Very good. And I need to ask you, I ask everybody this, how can I help you? Would it be okay if I shared your website, creatorslearn.com? Would that be a good place to start to help you out?
That's the best place to find the course, the masterclass, that kind of delves into the course and kind of explains it to see if people do want to sign up and participate in it. Yeah, so creatorslearn.com is where you can contact me and learn all about it.
Excellent. I'm very appreciative and grateful for you taking your time, sharing with me today, all the way from another location. And thank you so much. I'm really grateful. You had some very powerful insights and valuable points. And going back to, if I can't make it simple, easy, and fun, I'm not doing it. I love that. I'm going to borrow that. I like what you're saying about the stock market about as much as I like playing the slot machines in Las Vegas. The odds are about the same sometimes if you're
well, especially if you're not doing any due diligence, you don't know anything about how the stock market works. Like, right. You do your due diligence, make smart decisions. But if you're not sure, definitely diversify. Yeah. So you just got to do your due diligence if you're going to do it. But right. You know what you're doing. There's no reason to diversify at all. And the same thing happens in business. If you know what you're doing, why would you make your life more difficult than it needs to be if you can use leverage points?
Right. Exactly. Well, this has been fascinating. Thank you so much for being here today. This has been fascinating. Thanks, I really appreciate it. I'm speaking with Jermane Cheathem, and he's speaking to me from Malaysia. And Jermane, just a pleasure being with you. And we will be sure to get your website posted on the link here. And thanks again for being with me.
Great. Thanks, Dave.